this morning, before I go any further, I'd like to take just a moment to hold in my heart and perhaps in yours the people of Gaza and Jerusalem. Also the people in Ukraine, of course. The people in Sudan. How many more places must I live where there's suffering and seemingly needless violence and countless innocent bystanders? In 1991, Zed and I had the opportunity to go to Israel and the Gaza Strip on an artist mission, citizenship diplomacy, the idea that I was as a musician and a photographer and a graphic visual artist, and a group of us were going to go and meet with groups of Palestinians and Jews and have them create art together and make music together and foster individual dialogue so that people on both sides, whatever that means, could foster a sense of peace. Yay, good idea. But it was in the middle of the Intifada, just as another flare-up. And so when we arrived there, it was very tense. And at every street corner, it seemed like there was another armed patrol. I mean, heavily armed patrol of soldiers. And I remember just the very first day we were there, we'd gone out and my guitar case and my magic tricks, and we were all going to go out and do this performance somewhere, and got stopped by another armed patrol. But this one was particularly just the day before, 2 days before, someone that had been carrying a violin case in the market and was a suicide bomber. So they were really wanting to know what was in my guitar case. And it was a very tense situation, and it was one of those times when half a dozen young men with machine guns, serious business, wanted to look at our papers, wanted to search everything, and it was tense and it was scary. And suddenly, the sketch artist in our midst pulled out her sketchbook and started drawing. Well, immediately when the soldiers went over, "What are you doing? What's that?" And she showed him as she was sketching one of the other soldiers. And he immediately turned and said, "Abraham, come here, look, she's drawing you." So Abraham comes over and he says something very exciting. The Hebrew obviously means, "Yay!" Cool. And then the first soldier says, "Me too, me next, draw me next." And then suddenly there were 6 little kids around us saying, "Me next," wanting to look, wanting to be seen for who they were, which wasn't soldiers with machine guns, but just boys wanting to live in peace. I mention all this because in the course of our time there, we got to know a wonderful woman who was a pediatrician at a children's hospital in Palestine, and many suffering young children. She said, "When you go back to America, please, please, please tell your people that our people just want peace. That it's not about being Jewish or Arab. It's about being a mom, dad, a kid, just wanting dinner, wanting to go to school in peace. And that there's 3% of our people who are angry and wanting war. But most of us just want peace. Tell them." So I'm telling you. And I'm telling you because it's, excuse me skipping around here, but it seems to me that same scale holds in my life. 97% of me wants peace in my life. 3% of me is ready to go to war with myself often, for not being good enough, for having forgotten something again, for having made a mistake, for having made big mistakes. I've made some big mistakes in my life. I'm still beating myself over the last big mistake happened 4 years ago. I still find a regular basis to find 97% of me wants to just remember that I'm loved and loving and a peacemonger in a world that wants peace. But 3% of me is real angry and ready to be judgmental. Sometimes sometimes on a good day, it's less than 1% of me. Sometimes on bad days, it's more. But what I have to remember, what I choose to remember, is I don't have to measure the distance between the Rudi I am and the Rudi I long to be over there. That Rudi I long to be, that peaceful one, that intelligent one that always makes the right choices. This one over here is way far away from this one over here sometimes. And what I choose to remember, what I choose to remind you is, rather than measuring ourselves up against some imagined ruler of perfection, of how it's going to be when I'm skinny enough or rich enough or have the perfect job enough or I'm healthy enough over there, that's when I'm going to be happy, that's when I'll be perfect. No, that's a false measurement. If I want to, I can remember at that very same distance, be measured like this. There's no length. It's all just, if I can just let go of my judgment and come back to this moment and feel the perfection of who I am and what my circumstances are right in the moment. If I can be aware that once again I've been caught up in my judgment, like the world's a linear place, and I'm a linear guy who can achieve linear results. And instead, remember that I'm just a tangled old spaghetti old guy. And I'm infinitely connected to all of creation in this moment. And all the power and all the strength and intelligence that I wish to provide, to own someday, is already here. I have a tremendous resource when I remember to resource, to go back to my source, to go back to the fullness and goodness and kindness and lovingness that I truly am, that those soldiers truly were, that the slow, grouchy clerk at the grocery store truly is. The guy who cut me off in traffic truly is this love, this connection. Perfect. There's no need for me to pull out my measuring stick and measure how good they are, how good I am against how good they are. Only corner. Awareness is the first step. Acceptance is the second step. Just acknowledge, oh yeah, I've been caught up. I'm beating up myself and the world with my ruler again. Just drop it. Acknowledge that that's where I am. Don't beat myself up for having forgotten. That doesn't help anything. Because as soon as I beat myself up for remembering, out comes that same ruler again, right? Instead, as I become aware and just accept that I'm a tangled mess of string, but I'm also whole, perfect, and complete, then I'm free to let go of all of that and simply come into the present moment with Source. And it takes that long. Just that long. When I remember. I can also go on for hours and hours and hours that I'm in misery. If I want, I'm free to choose. But if I want, I have practiced enough that from the moment I become accepting of my awareness that I'm all tangled up, to the moment I can reconnect with Source, can literally take that long. On a good day. And it's always a good day if I let it be. Richard Rohr, Father Richard Rohr, is the founder of the Center for Action and Contemplation and Action, the Center for Contemplation and Action in Albuquerque, a fabulous Spiritual Center, if you ever have a chance to be there, library, study room, meditation hall. Lovely place. Anyway, he said, we are the center for contemplation and action. And the most important word in our title is "and." Because it's not contemplation or action. It's not either being a meditative person sitting quietly connected to Spirit or someone acting in the world. Ideally, I'm contemplating and active. He says contemplation without action becomes fruitless and rotting. Action without contemplation becomes brittle and driven by ego. Contemplation and action is what we're called to, the "and." Instead of the "or," that's the other big word, right? In our cultures, it's me or you, this or that, black or white, right or wrong. No. Again and again, we're called to remember that most times in life, it's this and that. It's black and white. The Palestinians are right, and the Jews are right. And mostly, we're called to drop the war and come back to a place of peace again and again. Once upon a time, long ago and far away, there was a young man named Abdul who, as these stories go, was searching for enlightenment, couldn't find it in his little village, so he set out into the world to find enlightenment and deep inner peace. And he traveled to this town and that, listened to this preacher and that imam and that student. And then he was directed to the home of a particularly wise and wealthy man who was said to have the answer for him. So young Abdul goes and knocks at the door and said, "I would like to see the master." And the servant says, "What do you want?" "I seek enlightenment." The servant said, "Go away, the master's busy. Come back tomorrow." Well, next morning, bright and early, Abdul knocks. Don't. "What do you want?" "I come to speak to the master. I'm seeking enlightenment." "Very well. Come on." So he showed me into the library where the master was sitting, finishing his breakfast. And the servant says, "You've only got 5 minutes, the master is busy." So he walks in, "Oh, Holy One, I've come seeking spiritual enlightenment." And the master greets him with a smile and wordlessly reaches over and gets a clean spoon and dips it into a bowl of mustard seeds, hands the spoonful of mustard seeds to young Abdul and says, "Here, take care of these seeds. I'm busy this morning, I've got other appointments. But when the noon bell rings, come back in and we'll talk. Enjoy yourself, walk around the castle, eat anything you want, read anything you want. This is a place of peace. You are welcome." So Abdul walks around with his spoonful of mustard seed. He doesn't want to spill it. He's been told to take good care of it. So he does the only wise thing. He walks shortly down the hall, has a seat, sits in meditation until he hears the noon bell ring. Ding! Walks back into the master's study and said, "Master, I've come." And the master said, "Oh, good. I see you've taken good care of the mustard seeds." "Yes, sir. What is the meaning of enlightenment? What is the meaning of life? I seek enlightenment. What do these mustard seeds have to do anything?" And the master said, "Well, tell me, what did you have for breakfast this morning? Did you eat? What did you read? What have you seen in my home?" And the young man said, "Well, nothing. I was taking care of the mustard seed." The master said, "Very well. I have some more appointments this afternoon. Continue to take good care of the mustard seeds. At sunset, the bell will ring again. Come see me. In the meantime, please have something to eat. Enjoy yourself. Make yourself at home." So the young Abdul heads out the hallway and he tends to sit down and meditate, but he's hungry. He smells food cooking down the hall, so he walks down the hall, and sure enough, there's a big table laden with all kinds of food and bread and desserts and cakes and delicious chai. He has it all. And then he walks further down the hall and reads, and walks into the library where it's filled with ancient volumes from all over the world. He starts reading. He loves to read. And he's reading and is lost in thought. He looks up and sees these beautiful paintings around and goes back to reading. Ding, he hears the supper bell ring. He rushes down the hall to go see the master and realizes, he forgot the spoon. Where's the spoon? He backtracks, goes looking for a spoon. It's on the dining room table. And the cat has knocked it over. The cat's sitting there eating leftovers from the meat tray, knocked over the spoon. There's a few mustard seeds. He gathered them up, and the spoon stays in his pocket. He's late. The bell rang 5 minutes ago now, running down the hall. Master, thank you. And the master said, what have you seen today? Well, I saw the most wonderful tapestries in your library, and I read the most amazing books. And what did you eat today? Oh, Master, thank you for the delicious meal. The cakes and stews were delicious. And where is my spoon of seeds? Oh, I forgot. It's just this. But here are these seeds. I got some of them. And the Master said, very well. You seek enlightenment. Let me tell you this. It's one thing to sit in silence and meditate on the seeds very carefully and hold them tight. It's another thing to feast in the world and travel and be human. But the middle way is to do both. And now go and live your truth. Not locked away in meditation and not lost in the ways of the world, but in the way of both. Once upon a time, long, long ago and far, far away, or perhaps today, in a place much closer than you imagine, there's a possibility for you and I to live into the story of both and, to be the peace we wish to see in the world, and to remember words of Sam Keen in his amazing book, In Search of Many Gods. You will be disappointed if you expect that a spiritual quest will lead to certainty and possession of the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Doubt and dialogue will always be with us. It is not necessary to find the definitive answer to the unanswerable questions. But we do need to face into the wind and keep our faith alive. It makes all the difference whether we remain open in wonder to the great mysteries or surrender our discrimination and settle for false certainty of cult and tribe. Let us surrender alone and together into this precious moment as Professor Palmer plays some music for us. As we take a moment to unwind the strings that bind us and let go of the rulers that would measure us and simply be present in this moment with eyes open or eyes closed. Feeling the sweetness of this moment as we breathe into it together. Feeling that there is nowhere to go and nothing to do in order to experience the perfection of who we truly are. Sometimes we forget, but in this moment we remember, alone and together, our deep connection to Source, each in our own way, turning inward, opening to all four directions. The joy and the sorrow, the faith and confusion. knowing and trusting all is well. We rest in that awareness. And from that place of deep peace, we're invited to open and send forth a blessing to another person or person, to another situation on the planet. To send forth the love and light which we've experienced in the truth of our being and see it as the truth of another being, of all beings. Aware of who we are, accepting who we are, opening to all that is and all who are, and allowing this to be the truth upon which we live and move and have our being. May all beings be blessed by our willingness to experience, explore, and express this truth. We are one. And so it is.